Hey folks, Nathan here. Welcome to Nate's favorite deck building games, sort of. This is actually a quick book review. I don't tend to do these very often, at least not on the YouTube channel. I do all kinds of stuff when it comes to things like Star Wars books and comics and whatnot on Star Wars Beyond the Films and elsewhere, StarWarsReport.com and all. But this is one that I thought would be of particular interest to those who are following this channel and like that Nate's favorite deck building games series, because this is actually a book that is written by Justin Gary. Now, if you're not familiar with Justin Gary, he is someone who was really big on the Magic the Gathering pro circuit as a player, but he's also the guy behind the design of, among other things, Ascension and then the more recent Shards of Infinity at Stoneblade Entertainment. So this is someone who has designed some really solid deck building games, among other things that fans like me enjoy playing. So I saw his name on an upcoming book and thought, this might be an interesting one to check out. And I want to give you a sense of what it is, just in case you are like me, someone who plays Ascension or plays Shards of Infinity, sees this, sees his name, and thinks, hey, this could be a good one to check out. Is it really? Well, I'll tell you, when I started out reading this, I wasn't all that psyched about it. After going through, of course, your information about the book, the dedication, you'll notice the contents here that break things down for you. And it starts out with understanding design, then goes into learning the core design loop, refining your designs, building great games, making money, and a final note on living the lessons. And he does this all from a personal perspective, using examples from popular games plus gaming design experiences that he himself has had. And I'm going to tell you up front, I started reading this, and I'm working my way through part one after the forward. Just introduction, okay, we got the forward, the introduction, yeah, understanding design. What makes a good designer? Okay. What do you need for game design? Inspiring, framing, brainstorming, prototyping, testing, and iterating, okay? How to come up with an idea, and how to make sure you overcome your ego, and how to work out the bugs, and so on. And I gotta admit, I'm reading through this first part, and some of the things, like what you see here, these exercises he includes, and I kind of felt initially like I was being talked down to. And I thought, this is definitely not one I'm going to keep reading. So I actually set it aside for a little while, and then my wife had a medical procedure. And I was like, you know what? While I'm sitting there in the waiting room, I'm going to read something. I'm going to try to get through this. And it turns out I'm really glad that I didn't just put the book away, because it turns out that it's really sort of designed to be something to get you from the ground floor all the way up to actually producing a game, if at all possible, from any one book, right? So yes, it does start giving you the basics. It does start giving you things that anyone who really has a sense for creativity, who's done any, for instance, professional writing, or anyone who does teaching and has to refine lesson plans year to year and things like that, is going to see and say, okay, yeah, duh, we get it. But those are the types of things that someone who's never tried their hand at something even remotely like this, they're gonna need to know. Like the refinement process, what he calls the core design loop. But as you go along, it gets substantially deeper and more interesting and more insightful as it goes. I say more insightful because it seemed like I was having more interesting moments as we got later in the book. I'm sure those who maybe have never done anything from a creative work standpoint maybe would get those aha moments even early on. But for me, it was right as you were getting to the refining your designs and looking at engine design and engine development. Then eventually getting into the whole thing about building great games and the elegance and depth and motivation angles to it. And then eventually getting into a little bit about the making money side and the business model aspect of it. Once you get into that point, you're really kind of into the heavier stuff, and this becomes a really, really interesting read. So I would say that for me, this is one that I really enjoyed by the time I got to the end of it. When I started it, it felt like it wasn't going to be one that I could get into. So if you're someone who's into the idea of game design, whether you want to do it yourself or just get a feel for how it works because you're interested in that industry, this is definitely one I would say to check out. But understand that depending on your level of knowledge going into it, you may feel like the beginning of the book is kind of basic. Skip it if you have to, though you'll miss some of his insights on his personal specific journey. But if you want to know about game design from someone who's actually done it and done it well, and isn't too proud to point out his own mistakes and show you sort of the lessons that he has learned, I actually think this one is actually a really good one to check out. I was impressed by the time I got to the end, though again, I almost put the thing down and didn't come back to it. So give it a try, and if you feel like the beginning of it really isn't working out for you, either skip ahead or try to stick with it. I'm very glad that I did in the long run. So again, this is Think Like a Game Designer, the step-by-step guide to unlocking your creative potential by Justin Gary, who we know on this show, or this channel, from Ascension and Shards of Infinity.